Good day. All right, one more time. All right, good day, everybody. Welcome to the Dream of Card Consciousness. I'm Mark Ford along with Greg Smith, my partner on the show. Today, we are going to be running down our favorite 1970s baseball sets. And this is actually show number 5 2.0 because we had a little bit of a technical snafu this morning. Shame on Mark Ford. I dropped the ball on something, but so I really appreciate Greg getting back with me again today. So how you doing, Greg?
I'm doing good, Mark. How you doing, man?
I was a little better when I thought we had a killer show this morning, which we do. We got a good show for you today.
Well, we did. It went off pretty well, I thought. But yeah, take 2, man. We'll see what happens. But it should be fine.
That's it. It's a stream of consciousness. We'll probably come up with some new stuff. So we're going to run down our favorite. Obviously, there won't be any surprises like we had this morning because we don't check with each other before we do these things. So I'm going to start with my number 5 baseball card set of the 70s. And it's a bit, for me, it's kind of grown on me recently. And I didn't really like it until recently, but I love the 1978 Topps. And here's one of my favorite all-time cards, Gary Templeton. He is, along with Andre Dawson, another one of those beautiful dudes in his powder blue. We're trying to limit Andre Dawson today because his rookie card is in here as well in this set. It's a great set. It's one of those growers. It's kind of like 90 Topps when it came out. I was a kid. And I was more into football cards because I just didn't dig it. So, yeah, that's my number 5, 78 Topps.
Right on. And I know you love that Gary Templeton card. That's 77 Topps, by the way, Mark.
Or 77 Topps. Oh, my God. Look at me. So, you want to start over on that or what the hell, Jerry?
I
look like an idiot. So,
no, it's okay, man. Right. I know you know what you're talking about. We don't, and it's up to you. But no, that's 77. And I know you know that.
77. Right.
Yeah, and I know you know that, so it's okay, man. It's Sunday afternoon. We've all been kind of relaxing, so everything's good.
Yeah.
And I know you love that Gary Templeton card. I've seen you claim it numerous times in numerous different sales, so I'm sure you probably have a whole bunch of it.
Yes, sir. And all these years I've been thinking it's 1978.
Have you really?
I know.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Day,
77. Yeah, I get the years mixed up in football sometime, but I think I got baseball down finally. So. Yeah. Let me go ahead and go off with my number 5 then.
All right.
And my number 5 is 1973 Topps. And it's not so much the way that it looks. This Clemente card right here really is one of my favorite cards of all time. Spring training, obviously, you can see the fence in the background. It's not a normal Three Rivers Stadium fence. Very haunting photo, especially in light of what ended up happening to him. And, one of my favorite cars. I'm not real sure why it's a 4. It doesn't really matter, but to me, it's a 10. So that set, the last of the high numbers, just so many different things about 73. I was 3 years old when that set came out, but it has grown on me a lot. I finally completed it thanks to one of my fellow collectors gave me a card I needed. Some of the high numbers, the photography, the centering's terrible, but the photography is really pretty good on a lot of the cards. Chain link fences, looks like softball fields. It's kind of funny, and you can see some of the old cars and some of the pictures. It's just really a timeless set to me. So that's my number 5. And if you want to go ahead with your number 4,
definitely.
Mark.
And then that 73, we talked this morning. My favorite card in that set, and again, I'm the weirdo that is into the oddball and the lower dollar stuff. Trips my trigger, but the George Scott card in 1973 is just fabulous. A great action shot, guy diving back into first base, big full crowd behind him. So I really like the 1973 George Scott. So my number 4 is, let me get really dialed back in. Oh, number 4. Okay, here we go. We got it. Is the 1972 Topps, the Psychedelia. And there's a 72 Hank Aaron. I love Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron was my guy. He was my early PC before Andre Dawson. My Andre Dawson mania happened. But I've had this card, this 72. I've had that since I was 10 years old. That's been with me a long time. That's, one of the first cards I had.
How in the
And
world have you kept it in that kind of condition, Mark?
well, I loved cards when I was a kid, and living in the middle of nowhere, they were my gateway to the world. My friends, I always took really good care of them. The dollars weren't there back then, but I just treasured them. So I
Yeah,
wanted them to be nice and look as good. So even when I was, say I was like 10 when I had that card. When I got it in an old card shop in Buffalo, and I just wanted to keep it safe. So I mean, most of the cards in my PC I've had since I was about 8, 9, 10 years old,
oh
and I just
wow,
kept them in good condition. But I like the 72s, particularly like the Red Sox cards because their Chain of Lake Stadium isn't too far from me in Winter Haven, and they
sure.
shot a lot of their 72 Topps Red Sox cards are shot at Chain of Lake, so you'll get a little glimpse of Winter Haven back in 1970. Well, it'll be like 72, one probably spring training. The cards came out in 72, so in the early 70s. So that's my number 4.
Right on. Well, my number 4, and I bring this up. Got this from you actually. It's one of the Follies of Man cards that I have. It's
You love the folly of man.
1978 Topps Rich Gossage.
Yeah.
Cards just look great in the SGC holders, and this is one of my favorite slab cards that I have. This Rich Gossage. The first baseball set I really can remember, 1978. Great rookie crop. You've got Molitor Trammell on that card. Really hard to find without the smudge on it. Mine's got the smudge. So Eddie Murray, you got Trammell, like I said, Trammell and Molitor. You got Lou Whitaker, Jack Morris, on the multiplayer cards. It really was the first card set I can remember baseball-wise collecting. I was 8 years old when it came out. Didn't really have a lot of money, but bought some packs. And remember the first card I ever saw was Stan Bonson.
Bonson, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was an Expo.
Expo,
yeah, definitely.
Yep. And I just thought it was cool, the cursive writing, and we were learning cursive when I was collecting it. And, it was just a set that's always stuck with me. Recently completed that one too. So my first 2 are complete sets that I have. Those are the only ones I have in my top 5 that are complete. But I love 78, and it's my number 4. So, yeah, absolutely. So on to you for number 3, man.
Yeah. My thoughts on that set.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's grown on me. It's become one of my favorite. Just I'm kind of going in a little direction, which we'll find out here in a minute. But it would be definitely my top 5. It's grown on me. When you find a 78 that's centered, they're a really nice looking card.
Yes.
Problem, like you said, so many are uncentered that it's really hard to find any that are in good shape. But yeah, when you find a nice pristine 78, they really pop. So we're at number 3.
Yes,
my
sir.
Number 3 is 1975 Topps. Yeah. Everybody's got this in their top 5, usually number 1 or 2 at the least. But the great card, there's Herbie Washington, our dedicated runner. I love the 75s. Here's my buddy Manny Trio. Even though this is not his rookie card, he had like Dal Murphy. There's my friend Manny. He's in Orlando now, but me and Manny are pretty good friends. Hey, it's a stream of consciousness. We spent a few hours drinking some Old Par out in the parking lot at Eagle Creek Country Club, and where I used to work. So, yeah, you want to hear some stories? Hang out with Manny, doing some Old Par. So
he's actually an all-star in the 80s. I think he was in the 83 Topps.
Manny played like 18 years, and I'm thinking, you look at the numbers, the Gold Gloves, and the playoff accomplishments. Manny's a borderline Hall of Famer. I didn't realize he was that good until I met him, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's Manny Trio, and then we became buddies and friends, and playing golf and hanging out. And
the criteria for infielders was much different back then.
And I think 8 Gold Gloves or. Yeah, 8 Gold Gloves or something. And then also for me doing TCM autographs, I don't do as much as I used to, but they really look great autographed. Here's Terry Harmon, and you see how the signatures just really, really pop out there. So if you're into doing autographs, these make really great for autographs. This for whatever reason, the 75s really pop. So that would be my number 3.
All right. Well, back to me. My number 3 is also 1975. Was a little bit too young to really be too young to be collecting at the time. This is one of my favorite cards too. a centered Yaz. So I'm not, again, you never really know what the grading companies are thinking, but that card's the most centered 7 I've ever seen on that. Colors, you know, like I said, a little bit too young to really have been collecting at the time, but just the colors and the different combinations with the teams and, you know, the shots, the pictures are really good. So I've always been very fond of 75. You know, the multiplayer, you got a Rice, you got Carter, you got Fred Lynn, rookie, you know, Manny Trio, guys like that. A lot of those multiplayer cards back in the 70s were really, really cool, you know, and I think 75 had a number of good ones. So
Jim Rice is 75.
What's that?
Jim Rice 75 or 72?
Yeah, Jim Rice is 75.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so he's another one of my guys. So I got a pile of Jim Rice, but I thought so. Yeah, that's a great card.
Yeah, Rice and a number of other guys. I don't even remember who, but you know, Gary Carter's rookies in that set. Yeah, so it's a good set, and it's got a lot of good rookies in it. So for me, that's why it's my number 3. And then I'll go ahead and kick it on over to you for your number 2, Mark.
All right, my number 2, and I just love the 1971 tops. And they're great with the black borders. They're really hard to find in good shape. But here's an iconic. Everybody should have this in their collection while I drop it. But thank God it's in a holder. So, yeah, it's Thurman Munson. And it's one of the iconic cards of all time. And that's a solid 1.5. That's, you know, right up my alley, 1.5. Follow you, man. But it's a beautiful card. There must be a crease or something in it, but it's really nicely centered. I like centering. I'd rather have a centered card with a crease than an uncentered card, but I love that card. And then my favorite card in the whole set is the Nolan Ryan.
Yes.
Love the backdrop, and this one is just really nice. Take it out of the plastic so there's no glare, so you can just see how nice that card is. And there it is, just a beautiful card. I got this on eBay for like $16. I was so happy to get it. I was telling Greg, I just got this card. It's a bucket list card for me. And because I got the holder here somewhere. I think this scared people off. It doesn't even stay together, but it came in this crazy, like, well, look, it's already falling apart, but it came in this crazy thing. And like, I think that scared people off. Like, it would be damaged, but $16. So
looks like you can cut somebody with that thing.
Yeah, I really, it's an octagon or something. It's crazy. It's yeah, I don't know. Maybe they used it to, who knows? But
I remember you. I remember when you got that card. It was probably 6 months ago at least.
Oh, it was a while. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were so excited, and I think for a split second you might have sent like, "Should I buy this?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." You know, even with the holder, you know. If you're not going to send it off, if you're not going to send it off to be graded, who cares? Really?
No, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I might send that off just out of curiosity. You know, put it in like something off brand holder, but
right.
And then they look great autographed too. Here's a Larry Boa. It just really pops, really stands out. The autographs on these. I love the Gold Cup cards in there, and there's a nice Larry Boa sign. Yeah, the cards beat to death, but Larry's a good signer. So if anybody's into autographs. Larry Boa is like automatic. And then that is my number 2. So off to you.
All right. Well, my number 2, you've already kind of gone over a little bit, is 1972 Topps. One of my favorite cards as well. I'm a big Red Sox fan. You can see my shirt, Red Sox. Carlton Fisk, loved him. It was always him and Munson growing up in the American League as far as catchers go. And it seems like every other year, one of them was like the all-star for the Topps that year or whatever. Just love 72s, the whole era. You know, I obviously wasn't old enough to really understand what was going on in that era, but the cards really reflect, I think, the psychedelic, you know, mindset going on at the time. And, you know, just a great set. It's a challenge to complete. Kind of like 71 is, and just finding good centered cards in that set are a challenge. And it's got a few good rookies. The Fisk rookie is probably I would assume probably the best rookie in that class, just off the top of my head in that set. But the high numbers are always fun. you know, I've got a thing for high numbers. If I can find them in decent shape, cheap, then I mean that's the holy grail for everybody with those sets. So
Right.
number 2 for me, 1972 Topps. Always loved it, and it's in the challenge of it, and just the way they look makes it number 2 for me. So
yeah, you spend a lot of time wading through some suspect sales, searching out those high numbers. I don't know how you do it, because you know, after like the 100th pitcher of 9 cards, and my head spins, and you are dedicated with that stuff. I gotta give you credit. I'm serious, because that's like dedication to craft, dedication to your hobby, what you're into. I just can't do it. I mean, I just you'll be like 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours. It'll be 2 in the morning. There's Greg. Hey, I got to run a 73 high numbers. Like, I don't know how to do it. It's like, well, man, I face planted 2 hours ago. You know, I'm like FaceTime on my phone. Oh, what's going on?
I know if I send you a message after about 10 or 11 p.m., I'll receive a response the next day, which is cool. I just get excited, and the whole thing with the high numbers for me, you know, obviously they're worth a little bit more. You know, I think a lot of folks who do these sales just kind of slap stuff up and see what'll go, and not really pay attention. And I'm not gonna, obviously, I don't want that to stop. But I mean, it's a challenge. I have my trading card database browser open, and I'll have the Facebook app open, and I'm like bouncing back and forth, hoping to God nobody claims them in the meantime. Well, I'm looking, is that a high number? Is this a high number? You know, so it's a challenge, and it kind of takes up a little bit of time, like you said, but it's worth it. I mean, I've been able to get 100, 273, and 72 high numbers for like quarter 50 cents a piece.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just keeping my eyes open. So I appreciate you saying that. And it's dedication, and
I do it. And that's what it's about. It's not, and you know, at the end of the day, it's not huge dollars. It's just your passion. Like with Opeachy, you know, that's why we get along so well. We have a lot of similarities, maybe different things that we like, but you have that dedication to it.
Right on. Who's up for number 1? Is it you?
All right, my number 1. Yeah, I think we're back to me, and it's a bit of a surprise. It was a total shock before I messed up the first recording. So, and this is out of left field, and I'm just going to go on just a couple minutes on this.
Sure.
So I'm all about girl power, girl dad. I coached girls sports for like 25 years. Been very, very lucky to do that, successful at it. I think that men should coach women should coach, you know, women's sports, be the head coach. You know, I don't really think that that's a man that makes a great coach for females. So I've always tried to be really, really cool and level and even with them, and then groom my assistants to be the head coach and move on and go somewhere else. But so I'm about girl power. So those of us that are mine Greg's age, you remember getting like Sports Card Digest and all that stuff back in the day. The back of the Sporting News. The Sporting News is my link to the outside world. I couldn't wait till it hit the mailbox. There'd be an ad back there for Renata Galasso. So, yeah, my number 1 set in the 70s, the Renata Galasso. These are the 77 TCMAs. And there's mostly Hall of Famers and superstars from the 50s and 60s, black and white photos. This is FGS 9, whoever the hell they are. But it doesn't matter. Whenever I find these, I pick them up because, yeah, Renata Galasso, and there's the back, was a woman in New York City with a card shop. And you couldn't buy complete sets until she came along, and she would hand collate them. So when you sent for a complete set, that wasn't something that Topps, Fleer, you know, there was no Fleer Donners at the time until the 80s when they would issue complete sets. So she would hand collate these sets and send them all across the world, America, the world. And that was the only way to get a complete set at the time was Renata Galasso. And to be a woman in a male-dominated industry in the early 70s is really remarkable. And it still carries on today, you know, being an educator. You know, I had some time as an athletic director, my coaching background. Now I'm a teacher. You know, Title IX is baloney. You know, it's just there's not equality in the education system for women. There's not equality in the job marketplace. There's not equality in the world. So, and you know, come at me if you want to, because I'll debate that with you all day long. There's not, and if any man says there is, they're full of shit. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, I hope that women, you know, it's equality. I hope they get a chance to be treated a little better than we are because we've had a million years to run the earth. And honestly, we haven't done that great job. So
I agree.
You know, that's why for me, number 1, Renata Galasso, that's a pioneer of the game. And a lot of people don't realize that. So back to you.
Well, I remember being little and kind of like you. My big thing was the sporting news, and Sports Illustrated was big back then too for me.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, every Wednesday or Thursday, the next issue would come out, and I'd beat a path to the mailbox. And I remember the name Renata Galasso very, very well. You know, I think pretty much anybody that was born around the time I was in 70, and I'm not 100% sure what year you were born, but you're probably a little bit older than I am, but not
Yeah,
much.
69, 1969.
Okay, so yeah,
Summer
we're
of
both about,
Love.
yeah, right, exactly. We're both the same age.
Mhm.
That was a big name back then, and
Yeah.
I never realized she did her own sets until I saw the ones you were posting. I knew that she
Yeah.
sold sets. But I remember the Trader Speaks was a big publication back then.
Definitely.
You know, Beckett was not as
Coming
big.
out. Yeah, to
Yeah,
start.
it was coming
It
out.
was like a
But
paper. It was almost like a self-made thing. Very
yeah,
low end. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And they had a baseball card catalog. So it was like the
Mhm.
dark ages back then compared to what it is now, obviously. But Renata Galasso was a big deal. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of
definitely.
people, you know, I don't know that a whole bunch of people remember that. And that's a great set. And I was thinking
It
about it
is.
because you did surprise me with that earlier. And I was thinking during the time, those are some of the only real action shots you get of those people, like that Robin Roberts you just showed.
Mhm.
I don't,
Yeah,
there,
put that
I
up
don't
while you're
think there's
talking.
I don't think there's an action shot card of him that exists. And if there is, I don't know what it
Mm.
is. So, you know, I
There's
mean,
not. No.
yeah, it was all standard poses back then, back in the 60s and 50s. So that's a great card. And it's not something I really thought about until you showed me that. So I appreciate you doing that. And it was a surprise that was your number one, but hey,
I love them. I love them. I
yeah,
can't. Yeah. And I
yeah,
know
that's a
you
great
know
set.
your number one's hey worthy. It's just that's just it's a personal what we feel, and that's
Right.
collecting. And like I always say, it's just cardboard, you know, and
Absolutely.
how it resonates with me is way different than economics, or you know that card might be $10, but so what, you know, I
Yeah,
love it.
exactly.
It's yeah, exactly. So you're number one, Greg.
Well, I'll go ahead and say my number one. And my number one is, I think it's probably a lot of people's number ones, 1971
Definitely.
Topps.
Yeah.
You know, it's got some great rookies in it. It's got, you know, guys like Ted Simmons. I don't know if anybody can see that, but Ted Simmons, rookie card. You got Blyleven. You've got
Show
Dusty
that
Baker and
Blyleven.
Tom Baylor. Yeah, I know you
You
did.
got a nice. I can tell Greg's got a beautiful Blyleven.
Yeah, I did too, and I
I
jumped
know
on
where
that.
it came from.
That was a great price and a great
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in my stack. I've that's in my PC, but
Yeah, I think
the
pops.
yeah, the whole 71 set, if you can find them in decent shape, because I've got some real beat up, messed up 71s, but also have some really nice ones. Probably my favorite card in that set though is the Dusty Baker and the Don Baylor. The short print, and it's not even so much it's a short print. It's a valuable card, but it's I've got a really nice one, and it's Dusty Baker and Don Baylor's rookie cards. You know, and those are two great players. Probably, you know, Dusty might make it into the Hall as a manager someday.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
But it's just, and it's got Tom Paciorek on it too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, how do you get in there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was an all-star too, though.
Yeah. Usually with Seattle, right? I think later
Yeah,
on
Seattle
in his
Mariners.
days.
He was like their lone representative a few years. Just the whole set itself is just magic to me, and I think 71 is hands down, in my opinion, the best set of the 70s. So there you have it.
Excellent.
I do have an honorable mention,
yeah,
and I know I think you do too.
I do, but you go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And this is a set that I think gets overlooked by a lot of people. Maybe not so much now as it used to, but SSPC. Steve Carlton here. You know, you've got all the major stars. You've got, I've just picked two random ones. I got Tony Oliva.
Or I would say that's Rod Carew, probably, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got
I would say that isn't that Rod Carew? No, Mark, it's Tony Oliva.
You did. You bought that slab with Tony Oliva, and you're like,
I was so excited. I'm like, Greg, I got this Rod Carew. And you're like, oh, Mark, that's Tony Oliva. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Boy,
but it's okay.
Right?
It's all right.
I love you. Here's a Tony Oliva.
The SSPC set though. I mean, it has some. It's got that Aaron card with the Brewers. It's got Mays with the Mets. It's got a bunch of really cool multiplayer cards. Catfish Hunter and Nolan Ryan are on a card together. Willie Mays and Herb Score. You got Duke Snyder and another guy. So it's a pretty cool set. It's relatively cheap still. You got Brett and Yount and Eckersley rookies in that set as well. So it's a cheap way to afford some of the best players of all time, really. And that's always been a favorite set of mine too. So that's my honorable mention for the 70s is SSPC, I think.
And I know you like the Kellogg's 3D cards as well.
Yes. Oh yeah, Kellogg's, absolutely. You can find them uncracked. I've bought and sold a lot of Kellogg's cards here in the last year or so. So those bring me back to digging through cereal boxes. I mean, that's why I like them. I can remember.
I didn't really like cereal, so I didn't have that. Nah.
Oh,
I ate so much oatmeal that I ate so much oatmeal that I can't stand it anymore. I look at it, I want to puke. That and bananas.
I'm that way with apples.
Yeah, I turn green.
I'm that way with apples. I can't even really eat an apple pie anymore. I'm just so over apples. So
yeah, I really liked those cards when I was a kid, the 3-dimensionals. That's one of those ones that I was really, really into, and then as I got older, I didn't like it too much. But they are neat when you get them when they're not cracked or they're like looking like a C because they bend.
Right. So what's your honorable mention, Mark?
Oh, so my honorable mention is this is kind of weird because they're 1968 Laughlin, the World Series cards, but they weren't really released until 1970. So this is kind of like that fringe. They're 68, but they used the same cards in 1970, 1971. So even though they got like a 68 stamp on it, and believe it or not, how things changed. I was a little kid going to that corner store in the middle of nowhere, they had these cards. They had these World Series Laughlin cards, and that was back when you could get packs over 3, 4, 5, 6. You blow the dust off. 7 years old, I'm like, wow, what's this in my little store? But yeah, I love these. This is autographed by Carl Erskine. Being that I do the autos through the mail and write letters and all that stuff. Erskine's a great signer. I think he's like 95 years old now. But he's a free signer. I put in $5 with this one just to kind of get to the head of the line because he is 95 and he does take the time. I probably should have gave him more because he did answer a letter that I wrote him a few months before I sent that about Jackie Robinson. And him and Roger Craig are the last of the 55 Dodgers that are alive that played with Jackie. And he was very generous. If you do podcasts, just type in Carl Erskine. He's on numerous podcasts, and oh my God, 95 years old. And again, look at that signature. I mean, that's money, and that guy he does these podcasts and he's just boom, he's on it. And he's a great interview, and he's a really good man. So even though the print, the copyright, the 68, these actually were 1970, 71. And I love these cards. And again, we didn't have internet. So this is how I learned about Carl Erskine doing what he did, striking out 14 there. That's, that was how we learned. We actually, learned stats from the back of the cards, and we didn't have internet. And we had, I was lucky to have 2 channels of TV. And so that was our window to the world.
Right. I remember I studied the backs of the cards like a Bible. And when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned something, and not to go on too long about it. I don't want this to drag on too much, but you had mentioned something also about the Black All-Stars.
Oh, the Yancey, yes.
That's I did a little bit of digging on that after the show, after the 1.0, and those are beautiful.
But the Laughlin Black Stars, 1974, they're very expensive, but they're haunting, aren't they? Very in their simplicity.
Yes.
When you look at is that really Josh Gibson? Probably not, but I mean that's all there was. 1974. We didn't see that half these guys in the Laughlin Black Stars set. We don't have any idea what they look like or who they were. And it's just very simple. And I'm glad you brought that back up because it slipped my mind a little bit. The Laughlin Black Stars, 1974. There's a couple issues, and they're very expensive. Even ungraded, a nice one's going to cost you $15, $20. But I definitely need to get some of those because that's kind of where I'm at with what I'm.
Yeah, you've got me. I've got to the point now where in my collecting, I've got most of what I want, really.
Yeah.
So anytime I can learn about something new that is gonna pique my interest, and I think that's why I'm so into the OP cheese and so into the the Kellogg's, and I'm going to look at some Renata Galassos, and now this Laughlin Black All Stars.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff.
It's good for me and keeps me super interested in the collecting side of this, finding out. And I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, because I'd never even heard of them. So I went down the wormhole for about 20 minutes.
You can, yeah.
Oh yeah. And
they're awesome. Just awesome cards.
They're very cool. They're very cool.
Yeah, that's Satchel Paige, right? $800, $1,000. That what the auto one, $2,000. I mean,
they had a full set. They had a full set on auction, I think, that's like $1,500 already.
Oh yeah.
Ungraded.
Probably
so
worth it. Yeah. Probably
maybe for a later day, but very good cards, very cool, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you. That's my thing, and it plays into what I do, So So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. I just got one shout out this week. Those of you that know me know that I'm a teacher. Somehow they let me teach children. I work at a charter school. It's 99% black and brown, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it. Great kid. So Isaiah Torres is my first graduate that I had. I've been there 3 months after my spectacular flame out as an athletic director. And I'll say it, at Liberty High School, your loss, in a phenomenal school called the Loma. And I love it. I love what I'm doing. So they gave this kid no chance. He'll never graduate. He's not going to get out of here. The story. I'm not going to get into it. But, he come from way back. Finished 10 classes in about 3 months, and he was my first graduate. Wow. He ended up graduating with a 3.0, which coming from like a 0 point something. So Isaiah Torres, Izzy, he's my boy. He's my son. I love him. I love him like my. I got 3 daughters, and I'm not ashamed to say that when he left, I said, I'd have been proud to call you son. So that's my shout out. I'm really proud of him, and I have 13 kids on track to graduate in May. So that's great. Shout out to all them kids. They're in the game. They're fighting. They don't give up. And there's a lot of baseball cards in my room because, I want them to learn about people and ask questions, and they all have significance. So, I got a lot of trophies in the other room from my coaching and this, that, and the other thing. And, when I left Liberty, my phone, before I got to Loma, I left Liberty at 10:30 in the morning. I got to Loma that night. My phone rang. I got 9 job offers, to coach. And I'm like, nah. I'm sorry. I had enough. Yeah. And I'm so glad that I did. Greg, you were there with me at that time, and it was not easy. I make it sound easy now, I had 9 offers. It was all good. And I went so long. No, it was not, because I was, that was tough, but I'm really happy to be there. And again, it's not money, and it's what it's worth to you. So that's what I urge everybody, whether it's just cardboard. I say it all the time. Hey, this is just cardboard. That's what's here that counts. So I appreciate you coming back on with me again today, Greg. I know I dropped the ball on the first one. You got a sale coming up. So everybody get over there to Vintage Fire Sales, 93 down, 1860 to 1993, and check out Greg's sales. They're amazing. And, I can't thank everybody enough for their support.
Well, one thing I want to say is, first of all, congratulations to Isaiah, man. That's a great job. Good for you. And that's gotta feel amazing for both of y'all, I imagine. And second thing, we're going to be back. I have gone from working full time at a regular job to now I'm juggling a number of things, and time has not been as free, I guess, to do this. But I do want to get back on a regular schedule, and I know we've got something scheduled for next weekend as well. We're going to talk a little bit more about football. We're going to talk a little bit more about football cards and football in general, and because I know you and I are both huge football fans, but we've been really focusing on baseball so far in this show. But I just want to let everybody know we will be back on a regular schedule, and we appreciate everybody that's sent us messages and support and encouragement and suggestions and everything like that. That we do appreciate it, and it's really been fun to do this so far. Obviously, it's we're learning on the fly as we go. We're neither one of us are professional videographers or
professionals at the Super Bowl. That's how we had to do this show again.
Right. So, just not to blather on about it, but just thank you so much for the support and the kind words, and hopefully that can continue. And I'm just having a blast doing this, man, and talking about sports cards with you, and it's been really fun. So, good job with Isaiah. Go enjoy the rest of your
Okay.
Sunday, Mark.
All right,
Everybody
brother.
else,
I'll be seeing you in a few minutes in the card sale. You know I'll be there.
I'm starting in 15 minutes. So
All right,
yeah,
I'll be there, brother.
all right,
All
man.
right.
Everybody have a
Peace,
good night.
everybody. Love you.